Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share something very simple, yet very powerful with you. A 21-day success plan. They say it takes 21 days to build a habit. Just 3 weeks. Imagine in just 21 days, you can reshape your life, your mindset, your future. The very first step in any journey of growth or transformation is making a promise to yourself. It sounds simple, but this single decision carries the power to shift your life in ways you cannot imagine. A promise is not just a statement you write on paper, it is a commitment that comes from within. One that connects your heart, mind, and actions together. When you promise yourself something, you are telling the world that no matter how many challenges come, no matter how many distractions appear, you will stay true to your word. This is why the beginning of any 21-day plan should not focus on results or reward. It should focus on building an unbreakable bond with yourself. A bond where you trust your own commitment. Without this, even the best strategies or schedules will eventually fail. Because the root of success is not in tools, it is in trust. When you promise yourself, it is not about shouting it loudly or announcing it to the world. It is about quietly looking in the mirror and saying, I will show up. I will not abandon myself this time. I will respect my own word. Many of us are used to breaking promises we make to ourselves. We tell ourselves we will wake up early, but we press snooze. We say we will eat healthier, but we end up giving in to temptation. We say we will study, exercise, or work harder, but we put it off for tomorrow. Every time we do this, we teach our mind that our own word is not trustworthy. We lose faith in ourselves. This cycle of breaking promises builds disappointment, and disappointment builds doubt, and doubt kills dreams even before they are born. That is why the first promise you make at the start of this 21-day journey is sacred. It is a turning point where you decide that this time you will not treat your own word lightly. This promise must be personal. It should not come from comparison with others, nor should it come from pressure to impress. If you make a promise only to show the world you are strong, you will lose strength when the world stops watching. But if you make a promise for yourself, for your inner growth, then even when no one is clapping, you will continue moving forward. Think about the strongest relationships in life. They're built on trust. In the same way, your relationship with yourself must be rooted in trust. A promise to yourself is the foundation of that trust. Without it, there is no foundation. With it, there is unshakable strength. The power of a promise is not in its size, but in its consistency. You don't have to promise to climb a mountain in 21 days. You can promise something as small as taking 10 minutes daily to read, meditate, or reflect. What matters is that you honor it every single day. When you honor small promises, your inner confidence grows. You start believing in your own ability to follow through. And when you believe in yourself, no mountain feels too high. This is how success begins, not with giant leaps, but with steady, faithful steps taken every day. At the beginning of these 21 days, the only goal should be to strengthen this bond with yourself. To tell yourself, I matter enough to keep my word. I respect myself enough to not break this commitment. This is not about proving something to others. This is about proving something to your own heart, that you are capable of being consistent, that you are worthy of trust, and that you will not abandon yourself again when things get difficult. Because this single promise, if kept, will create the foundation for every other habit, every other goal, and every other dream you want to achieve. Writing down simple, realistic goals is the next crucial step after making a promise to yourself. It may seem like a small act, just taking a pen and paper, but in reality it is one of the most powerful tools to shape your future. The mind can often feel like a storm, filled with countless thoughts, desires, fears, and distractions. When everything stays inside your head, it becomes confusing, overwhelming, and easy to forget. Writing is the act of bringing clarity to chaos. It is about taking something invisible and making it visible, something uncertain and making it concrete. The moment you write your goals down, you are telling yourself that your dreams are not just wishes floating in the air. They are real, they are solid, and they matter enough to be captured on paper. But there's another important part to this. The goals must be simple and realistic. Many people fail not because they lack the willpower, but because they try to do too much at once. They create long lists filled with big ambitions, and when life becomes messy or unpredictable, those lists become a burden instead of a guide. Writing goals should never feel like a prison sentence. It should feel like a roadmap that makes you excited, motivated, and hopeful. That is why simplicity is powerful. Instead of writing 10 complicated goals, focus on 2 or 3 meaningful ones. Instead of trying to change your entire life in one go, start with small steps that move you closer to the person you want to become. Realistic goals also mean respecting your present situation. For example, if you have never exercised before, it is not realistic to write that you will run 10 kilometers every day for the next 21 days. A more realistic goal would be committing to a 15-minute walk daily. If you struggle with reading, do not push yourself to finish an entire book every week. Start with 1 or 2 pages daily. These goals may look small, but when written down and practiced consistently, they hold the power to completely transform your mindset. A realistic goal is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. It shows that you understand where you are and you know how to move forward in a sustainable way. Another reason writing goals is so important is accountability. When you write, you create a mirror that reflects your commitment back to you. It is no longer an idea floating in your imagination. It is a promise written in ink. Every time you look at it, you are reminded of what you set out to do. It keeps you grounded, focused, and less likely to give up. Without writing, it is easy to forget or to make excuses. But when it is in front of you, excuses have less power. Your written words become your personal contract. The act of writing also activates your subconscious mind. When you repeatedly see your goals written down, your brain begins to align your thoughts and actions with them, often without you even realizing it. You start noticing opportunities you may have ignored before. You become more aware of the choices you are making each day. Writing is not just about recording, it is about reprogramming your focus. It is a signal to your mind that these goals are a priority. And when the mind understands priority, it begins to filter distractions. Writing goals down is also a form of self-respect. It shows that you are taking yourself seriously, that your dreams are worthy of attention. Even if no one else believes in your vision, that piece of paper becomes evidence that you do. You are not waiting for permission from the world. You are giving yourself permission to dream, to plan, and to take action. Over time, the small written goals will start to grow bigger. What once felt impossible will become normal. What once felt like a dream will become reality. That is the silent magic of writing. It bridges the gap between intention and action, between imagination and reality.
Building small daily habits is where true transformation begins. Habits are the invisible architecture of life, shaping who we are and what we become, often without us noticing. When people think about success, they often imagine huge achievements or sudden breakthroughs. But the truth is that success is built quietly, through small actions repeated every single day. A habit is like a seed. On the first day, it looks like nothing has changed. On the second day, still no big difference. But with time, that small seed begins to grow roots, then a sprout, then a tree. Daily habits work the same way. At first they seem too small to matter, but with patience, they grow into something powerful that shapes the whole direction of your life. When you are beginning a 21-day journey, trying to change everything at once can be overwhelming and discouraging. Instead of aiming for big, complicated routines, the focus should be on small actions that you can repeat no matter how busy, tired, or distracted you feel. For example, drinking a glass of water after waking up, Writing 3 lines in a journal, reading 2 pages of a book, or spending 5 minutes in silence, reflecting on your day. These are not grand acts, but they are consistent ones, and consistency is where strength is born. The beauty of small habits is that they are easy to start and almost impossible to excuse. You may not have an hour to read, but you always have 2 minutes. You may not have the energy for an intense workout, but you can stretch for 5 minutes. The important thing is not the size of the action, but the act of showing up every day. Small daily habits also reprogram the brain. Every time you complete a habit, no matter how tiny, your mind records a victory. These small victories build momentum. They create a sense of progress, which is one of the most powerful motivators. The human mind craves progress more than perfection. When you notice even a slight improvement, you feel motivated to continue. Imagine brushing your teeth. It is such a small act that most people do it without thinking, yet it protects health for a lifetime. Success habits work the same way. Once they become automatic, they start protecting your growth, your focus, and your dream. It is also important to connect habits with identity. Instead of just saying I will read more, tell yourself I am a reader. Instead of saying I will exercise, tell yourself I am someone who takes care of my health. By attaching small habits to your identity, you make them part of who you are instead of something you are forcing yourself to do. This shift is powerful because the human mind works hard to stay aligned with identity. When you begin to see yourself as the kind of person who follows through, your actions start to match that belief naturally. Another strength of small habits is that they prepare you for bigger ones. Once you prove to yourself that you can stick to 5 minutes daily, it becomes easier to extend it to 10, then 15. Growth becomes natural, not forced. The key is to never underestimate the small beginnings. Big achievements are nothing more than small actions, compounded over time. A book is written 1 page at a time. A strong body is built 1 workout at a time. Confidence is earned 1 promise kept at a time. Every great success story can be traced back to a series of small, consistent habits that were nurtured daily. Discipline feels heavy when attached to big changes, but it feels light when connected to small habits. And the lighter it feels, the longer you carry it. Over time, these small acts become automatic. They no longer drain willpower, because they no longer feel like decisions. They feel like part of your natural rhythm. That is why small daily habits are not just actions. They are lifestyle shifts. They quietly shape your future, while you are busy living your present. They are the foundation of discipline, the secret to consistency, and the true path to lasting success.
Believing you are stronger than your doubts is one of the greatest battles you will ever fight inside yourself. Doubts are natural. They live in everyone's mind. They appear whenever you try to grow, whenever you step outside your comfort zone, whenever you attempt something new. They whisper that you are not ready, not capable, not worthy. They remind you of every failure in the past and try to convince you that the future will be the same. But doubts are not truth. They are only fears dressed as truth. They do not come to guide you. They come to stop you. And if you listen to them too long, you end up paralyzed, trapped in the same place, watching your dreams slip away. That is why belief in your own strength is not optional. It is necessary. It is the shield that protects you from the arrows of self-doubt. Belief does not mean you never feel fear or uncertainty. It means you choose to move forward despite them. It is standing at the edge of the unknown and saying, I may not have all the answers, but I trust myself enough to try. Every great achievement in history came from someone who believed in themselves more than they believed in their doubts. They did not wait for certainty. They acted with courage. Belief is not about ignoring weakness. It is about deciding that your strengths are big. It is about choosing to focus on what you can do instead of being frozen by what you cannot. Doubts are loudest when you are closest to growth. They sense that you are about to break through a barrier, and they fight to pull you back. They will tell you that you will fail, that you will be judged, that you will look foolish. But if you push past that noise, you discover something powerful. You are much stronger than you thought. The very act of facing doubt and moving anyway builds strength. Every time you defeat a doubt with action, your belief grows a little stronger. It becomes easier the next time, until eventually, belief becomes your habit and doubt loses its power. One of the most important steps in believing you are stronger than your doubts is to change the story you tell yourself. If your inner voice always says, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," or "I will fail," then that story becomes your reality. But if you begin to say, "I am learning," "I am capable," "I will improve," your reality begins to shift. The words you repeat to yourself matter. They plant seeds in your mind, and those seeds grow into either fear. Believing in yourself means watering the seeds of faith every day until they become stronger than the weeds of doubt. Another way to strengthen belief is to remember your past victories. Doubts try to make you forget what you have already overcome. But think about the times you thought you could not handle something, and yet you did. Think about the challenges you survived, the pain you endured, the problems you solved. Those moments are proof of your strength. Carry them with you as reminders that if you conquered before, you can conquer again. Doubt wants you to believe you are weak, but your history shows you are strong. Belief also grows through action. Waiting for belief before you start is a trap, because belief is built by doing. The more you act, the more evidence you create that you are capable. Start small if you must, but start. Each step you take tells your mind, "I can." Each victory, no matter how small, silences doubt a little more. Over time, action transforms belief from a fragile hope into an unshakable truth. You begin to know deep inside that you are stronger than the voice of doubt. Believing in yourself is not arrogance, it is survival. Without belief, doubt will always win, and dreams will always die. With belief, even the heaviest doubts become powerless. The strength you need has always been inside you. The challenge is not finding it, but choosing to trust it. Every time you do, you rise above doubt and move closer to the life you are meant to live. Celebrating small progress daily is one of the most overlooked yet powerful parts of building success. Many people wait until they achieve something big before they allow themselves to feel proud, but that way of thinking creates emptiness along the journey. The truth is, big victories are rare, but small steps happen every day. If you learn to notice them, to appreciate them, and to celebrate them, your journey becomes filled with energy, gratitude, and motivation. Success is not just about reaching the finish line, it is also about enjoying the path that takes you there. When you celebrate progress daily, you remind yourself that every step counts, and this reminder keeps you moving even on the days when the destination feels far away. Small progress may look ordinary from the outside, but inside it carries extraordinary value. Waking up 10 minutes earlier, choosing a healthier meal, reading a few pages, or completing a short workout may not look like much compared to the big picture, but each of these actions is a sign that you are moving in the right direction. If you ignore them, you risk feeling like nothing is changing. But if you acknowledge them, you begin to see growth unfolding piece by piece. This recognition builds momentum. It fuels your belief that change is happening, even if it is not dramatic yet. And belief is what keeps consistency alive. Celebrating small progress also protects you from the trap of perfectionism. When you only value big wins, you create pressure to achieve flawless results. This pressure makes the journey heavy and discouraging. But when you learn to celebrate small progress, you lighten the journey. You begin to see joy in the process, instead of just in the result. This mindset is powerful because it transforms discipline from a burden into a gift. You are no longer just working hard for a faraway goal. You are enjoying the present moment while building your future. One way to celebrate daily progress is through reflection. At the end of the day, pause for a few minutes and ask yourself, What did I do today that moved me forward? It could be as simple as resisting a bad habit once, learning a new idea, or finishing a task you were delaying. Write it down, smile about it, and give yourself credit. Another way is through small rewards, like enjoying a favorite tea, listening to music you love, or taking a peaceful walk as a way of honoring your effort. These rewards do not have to be extravagant. What matters is that they acknowledge your progress, making your brain associate effort with positive feelings. Science shows that celebrating small progress releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. This makes you feel good and motivates you to repeat the action. That is why habits become stronger when celebrated. Ignoring your progress denies your brain this encouragement, making it harder to stick with the habit. By consciously celebrating, you are rewiring your mind to see effort as rewarding instead of exhausting. Over time, this shift makes consistency easier because you actually look forward to practicing your habits. Celebrating progress also changes the way you see yourself. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you begin to focus on what you are building. Instead of saying, "I still have a long way to go," you start saying, "I am moving forward every day." This change in perspective is not small, it is life-changing. It replaces discouragement with encouragement, doubt with faith, and frustration with gratitude. When you are grateful for your own progress, you become kinder to yourself, which makes the journey more sustainable. Daily celebrations also remind you that success is not a destination, but a lifestyle. You do not become successful one day in the future. You are successful every day that you show up, every day that you grow, every day that you move forward. Success is not only in the grand achievements but in the daily victories that build your character, your strength, and your belief in yourself. When you learn to celebrate those daily victories, you create a mindset that sees abundance instead of lack, progress instead of stagnation, growth instead of failure. Focusing on consistency, not perfection, is one of the most powerful lessons in creating lasting success. Perfection is a trap that convinces you nothing is ever good enough, and because it is never good enough, you either stop trying, you keep restarting. Consistency, on the other hand, is what builds results, because small repeated actions done over time carry more power than one perfect effort done once and abandoned. Too often people wait for the right moment, the right energy, the right plan, or the perfect environment to start something. The truth is that perfection never arrives, and waiting for it only steals time. What matters is showing up, even in small ways, every single day. Success is not built by perfect days. It is built by ordinary days where you still chose to act despite imperfection. When you focus on consistency, you understand that missing perfection is not failure. Writing 1 page a day may not sound like much, but in a year it becomes a book. Doing 10 push-ups daily may look small, but in time it shapes strength. Reading a few pages regularly can transform knowledge far more than reading 100 pages once and then quitting for months. Consistency compounds. It multiplies effort quietly, while perfection paralyzes. Perfection says all or nothing, but consistency says something is always better than nothing. That is why people who chase perfection burn out, while people who value consistency build endurance. Another beauty of consistency is that it makes discipline easier. When an action is repeated daily, it no longer feels like a heavy decision. It becomes automatic. Brushing your teeth does not feel like a chore because you have done it consistently for years. In the same way, once you commit to repeating small actions without worrying if they are perfect, they slowly become natural. That natural rhythm is what removes resistance. Consistency trains the mind to accept effort as part of life, while perfection trains the mind to keep waiting until everything is flawless, which almost never happens. Perfection also creates fear of mistake. People who chase it hesitate to start, worrying they might fail, look weak, or make errors. Consistency embraces mistakes as part of growth. Every time you repeat an action, you learn something new. Every day you practice, you improve, even if the improvement is invisible. Consistency is not about doing it perfectly, it is about doing it anyway. With time, the imperfections become lessons, the lessons become progress, and the progress becomes success. If you allow yourself to be consistent, you give yourself permission to grow slowly but surely. Consistency also builds confidence in a way perfection never can. When you try to be perfect, you often feel inadequate, because no matter how hard you work, it still doesn't meet your unrealistic standard. But when you are consistent, you can look back and see evidence of your effort. You can see the pages you wrote, the steps you walked, the habits you built. That evidence proves to you that you are reliable. You may not be perfect, but you are steady. You may not have it all figured out, but you are moving forward. This quiet confidence is far more powerful than the shallow satisfaction of being perfect once. It is also important to understand that consistency requires patience. Results are not immediate, but they are inevitable when you stay consistent. A farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check if it has grown. He waters it, cares for it, and trusts the process. In the same way, your daily consistent actions may feel invisible at first, but with time, they grow into visible success. Impatience belongs to perfectionists, but patience belongs to those who are consistent. Patience and consistency together create unstoppable momentum. Consistency frees you from the pressure of unrealistic standards. It allows you to focus on progress, on showing up, on doing the best you can today without worrying if it looks flawless. Life is not about having perfect days. It is about building steady habits that carry you through imperfect ones. Once you let go of the need to be perfect, you create space to be consistent. And in that space, true growth begins. Pushing hardest when it feels toughest is the point where growth and transformation truly happen. Anyone can stay motivated when life is smooth, when the weather is perfect, when energy is high, and when everything feels easy. But the real test of commitment begins when the struggle starts, when the body is tired, when the mind is full of doubt, and when obstacles seem heavier than your strength. Those are the moments that separate people who dream from people who achieve. Success is not created in comfort zones, it is created in the storm, in the darkness, in the hours when giving up feels easier than moving forward. The toughness you feel is not a signal to stop, it is a sign that you are reaching the edge of your old limits. And on the other side of those limits lies your new self. Struggle is uncomfortable, but it is also a mirror that shows you who you really are. When you face difficulty, you meet your excuses, your fears, and your doubts all at once. It is tempting to listen to them because they promise relief. They say, rest now, quit now, you can try again later. But those voices are not here to help you. They are here to protect your old self from change. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands that you step away from the familiar. If you always stop when things get tough, you will live the same story over and over again. If you push through, you begin to rewrite your future with stronger words, with braver choices, with deeper resilience. The hardest moments are also the ones where progress is closest. Think of climbing a mountain. The air gets thinner and every step feels heavier as you approach the peak. Most people turn back at this point, thinking the struggle means they cannot go further. But in reality, it means they are almost there. Life works the same way. When you are about to break an old habit, when you are about to build new discipline, When you are about to reach a breakthrough, resistance grows stronger. It feels like life is testing you, asking, do you really want? If you answer with persistence, the reward is not only reaching the goal but discovering the strength you never knew you had. Pushing hardest when it feels toughest does not mean ignoring your limits. It means challenging them wisely. It means recognizing the difference between harm and discomfort. Discomfort is growth. Harm is destruction. When your muscles burn in exercise, that is discomfort creating strength. When your mind resists reading, that is discomfort creating focus. But when you truly risk injury or collapse, that is harm and must be avoided. Pushing hardest means respecting your limits while still daring to expand them. It is about saying, I will not give up just because it is hard. I will hold on a little longer. I will take one more step. I will keep going when everything tells me to stop. These moments of persistence also build emotional resilience. Life will never always go your way. There will be setbacks, losses, failures, and rejection. If you quit whenever things get tough, you will never taste the sweetness of overcoming. But if you push through, every challenge becomes a lesson, every failure becomes training, every obstacle becomes proof that you can survive more than you thought. Over time, your mind begins to shift. You stop fearing the tough moments and start embracing them. You begin to see them as opportunities to become stronger, wiser, and braver. When it feels toughest, that is when your promise to yourself matters most. That is when consistency is tested, when excuses grow louder, and when doubt whispers that maybe you should stop. But if you keep moving anyway, even with small steps, you silence those doubts. You prove to yourself that your will is greater than your weakness. And once you experience that, you carry that strength into every other part of life. Replacing excuses with action is one of the hardest yet most liberating steps in the journey of self-growth. Excuses are comfortable. They protect us from facing discomfort, failure, or responsibility. But they also trap us in the same place again and again. Every time we make an excuse, we are giving our power away. We are saying that something outside of us is stronger than our own will. Excuses may sound logical in the moment, but deep inside we know they are only stories we tell ourselves to avoid the effort of change. They whisper things like, I'm too tired, I don't have time, I'll start tomorrow, or maybe it's not meant for me. The problem with excuses is that they feel safe but leave us stuck. They offer comfort in the present but create regret in the future. Action, on the other hand, is not always comfortable. It often feels heavy in the beginning. Waking up early when your body craves sleep, exercising when your muscles ache, studying when your mind feels distracted, or practicing a skill when you feel you are not good enough. These actions require effort, but they are the very steps that build progress. The difference between excuses and action is the difference between staying where you are and moving closer to where you want to be. The truth is, excuses will always be available, but so will action. The choice is always yours. One powerful way to replace excuses with action is to shift your focus from perfection to progress. Many times excuses are born from the fear of not doing things perfectly. We say, if I can't do a full hour, why bother doing 10 minutes? But this mindset kills growth. Progress does not care about perfection. Doing something small is infinitely better than doing nothing at all. Even a single step forward is still movement, and movement is always better than standing still. Once you take that small action, your mind begins to gain momentum, and the excuses lose their power. Another way to defeat excuses is to catch them in the moment. When your mind says, I'm too tired, ask yourself honestly, am I really too tired, or am I just avoiding effort? When your mind says, I don't have time, ask, do I truly not have time, or am I filling my time with distractions? Most of the time, excuses crumble when questioned. They are fragile. Action, however, grows stronger the more you practice it. By questioning excuses, you create space for truth, and truth usually demands action. It is also helpful to connect every action with a deeper why. Excuses often win because we forget why we started. If your reason for change is weak, excuses will overpower you. But when your reason is strong, when it touches your heart and soul, excuses lose their charm. For example, if you want to exercise only to look good for others, excuses will tempt you easily. But if you want to exercise to be healthy for your family, to live longer, to feel strong and confident in yourself, then action has meaning. A meaningful why creates energy, and that energy fuels consistent action even when excuses show up. Replacing excuses with action also builds self-respect. Every time you act instead of excuse, you teach yourself that you can be trusted, that you are capable of discipline, that you can rise above weakness. This respect slowly grows into confidence. It transforms the way you see yourself. Instead of someone who talks but never does, you become someone who shows up. And once you start seeing yourself this way, excuses no longer fit your identity. You no longer recognize yourself in the voice that says, "Not today." You recognize yourself in the choice that says, "Let's do it now." Excuses will always knock on your door, but they cannot control you unless you open that door. Action is not about grand achievements in a single day. It is about choosing to move despite the resistance. It is about showing up for yourself again and again until it becomes second nature. Once you replace excuses with action consistently, you begin to realize that the power was never in the excuse. It was always in your choice to act. Staying patient because change takes time is one of the most important truths to understand on any journey of success. In today's world, everything feels fast. People want instant results, quick fixes, overnight transformations, and immediate rewards. But real growth does not work like that. Just like a tree does not grow in a day, meaningful change in life cannot be rushed. Patience is not about waiting without effort. It is about continuing to act while trusting the process. It is the ability to keep showing up even when results are not visible yet. The seed you planted is growing under the soil even when you cannot see it. The same way, your consistent actions are creating change inside you, long before the outside world notices. Impatience often kills dreams before they even have a chance to grow. People start a habit, a plan, or a project, and when they do not see immediate results, they give up thinking it is not working. What they don't realize is that growth is invisible in the beginning. Muscles strengthen slowly, knowledge builds quietly, skills improve step by step. When you lose patience, you stop just before the progress was about to show. Patience is what separates those who quit too soon from those who eventually succeed. It is the quiet strength that says, "I may not see results yet, but I trust that they are coming." Patience also teaches humility. It reminds you that life moves at its own pace, not yours. You cannot force seasons to change, flowers to bloom, or the sun to rise faster. In the same way, you cannot force yourself to achieve everything instantly. When you accept this truth, you begin to respect the journey instead of only chasing the destination. You stop demanding immediate perfection from yourself and start appreciating steady progress. This attitude removes unnecessary pressure and allows you to focus on the present moment, doing your best without being obsessed with how fast results will appear. Another strength of patience is that it helps you build deeper resilience. When you are patient, challenges and delays do not break you as easily. You see them as part of the journey, not as signs of failure. Instead of quitting when obstacles arise, you learn to wait, to adjust, to endure. Patience gives you the ability to bend without breaking. It allows you to keep moving even when the road feels long, because you know that every step is still bringing you closer. This kind of resilience cannot be built overnight. It is shaped through repeated practice of patience. Staying patient also helps you avoid the trap of comparison. When you look at others who seem to be achieving faster, impatience grows. You start to feel behind, as if your progress is too slow. But patience reminds you that everyone has a different timeline, a different path, a different journey. Just because someone blooms faster does not mean you are failing. Your growth is unique to you, and patience teaches you to honor that uniqueness. When you are patient, you stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. You focus on your own book, your own story, your own growth. Patience is also a form of discipline. It trains you to control the restless part of your mind that wants quick rewards. Instead of chasing instant gratification, you learn to invest in long-term fulfillment. For example, saving money patiently builds wealth. Studying patiently builds knowledge. Practicing patiently builds mastery. In every field of life, the greatest rewards are given to those who waited and worked, not to those who rushed and quit. Patience is the bridge between effort and outcome. Without it, the bridge collapses before you reach the other side. Staying patient does not mean standing still. It means moving forward steadily, with faith that time will reveal your effort. It means understanding that every day you show up is part of building something bigger, even if you cannot see it yet. It means knowing that change is not measured in hours or days, but in weeks, months, and years. When you embrace patience, you stop being frustrated by how far you have to go and start being grateful for how far you have already come. And that gratitude gives you the strength to keep moving through the way.